Okay, good day to everyone. In today's Growing Your Tree of Prosperity, we are going to do the third installment for CPF Tips Week. And we are going to get our hands a little bit dirty on a very technical topic. We're going to talk a little bit about this thing called the deferment of CPF Life payouts. Okay, and once again, the background is this group called Haven. They have published a very useful ebook on CPF, right? This is one of the most thorough publications on the CPF system that I've ever seen. Okay, and I have an introducer agreement with Haven. So if you want conflict-free independent financial advice, you can click the link at the bottom of my channel and you can have a chat with someone from Haven. Okay, all right, so let's jump into what we're going to talk about today. Okay, and I'm going to explain to everybody, and it's something I've been harping about for a very long time. Okay, what is the basic problem of CPF Life? Okay, in my videos you can search. I spend a lot of time talking about some of the issues I have about CPF Life. Okay, and basically the idea is, if you are a 55-year-old guy and you're a good soldier, you have accumulated a full retirement sum of $213,000. All right, suppose you've accumulated so much. What is the kind of income you can expect every month when you hit age 65 in 10 years' time? Okay, and in the CPF guide, they've actually gotten someone from CPF board to teach us how to estimate the amount of the payout it's going to be. Now, estimation is not binding, okay? But this is a very useful rule of thumb. You take $213,000, which is the full retirement sum today, you divide by 120, and you get about 1,775. So this is the amount you can expect to start drawing at the age of 65, right? Yeah, and so that's fine and good. If you have $213,000, you are male, you divide by 120, you get 1,775. If you're female, you divide by 132. Okay, it's not because the CPF board is sexist, it is because women live longer, so the payouts need to be adjusted because they live longer. All right, so CPF is functioning like an insurance company here. Okay, they can't make you risk pool and expect to lose money. Okay, all right, so be reasonable. Okay, all right. Now, what is the problem? The problem is, by the time you're 65 years old, $1,775 is not a lot of money. Okay, so 10 years down the road, we need to consider how much this is in $2,025. So I've plugged in the 2.5% inflation every year, and we find that $1,775 is worth about $1,386 a month today. Okay, today. Okay, all right. So what I do is that when I think about CPF Life, I always go to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy to look at how much they think senior citizen would need to lead a dignified kind of existence when they hit 65 years old. And in the year 2021, according to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, a 65-year-old would need $1,421 in 2021, right? So like a good engineer, I would have to adjust this based on $2,025. So I would expand that, all right? And the answer is $1,568. Okay? So what does it mean? It means that if you have the full retirement sum at age 55, and you just let the money compound at age 65, you're not going to have enough money to give you that basic standard of living that the academics have come up with, right? So you would basically collect $1,386 in $2,025, but you will need about $1,568 in $2,025, all right, in order to have that basic standard of living. Okay, so it's not enough, and this is something which I've been harping for a very long time, right? That I'm not saying that the system is bad. I still believe very strongly in annuities like CPF Life. But what I do tell my students, because I'm an investment trainer, right, I also have to be a little bit self-serving, right? that you have to combine your CPF Life with some other form of investment, right, in the equity markets. A dividend portfolio, for example, the ability to rent out your room to maybe a foreign worker, you need a little bit of extra income to push you over that threshold, and then you can earn a decent living. Okay, and that's common sense, right? It's nothing controversial. All right. Okay, and this is the fundamental problem that we are trying to solve. Okay, it is something that if you're doing retirement planning the conventional manner, this should always be at the back of your head. Okay, so what is the most obvious solution? The most obvious solution, and I think this is what the government wants, is that you simply accumulate more than the full retirement sum. Okay, the government has preemptively raised the cap to enhance retirement sum, so that's 2 times the full retirement sum. You can put about $400,000 in today's dollars into your retirement account, and then you will easily be able to buy enough annuities to support themselves comfortably after age 65. All right. And the solution I share to my students is go for about 1.5 times FRS. So this is about $300,000 in your CPF retirement account. And this is going to be sufficient for you to sort of make it after the age of 65. All right. So this is, I would say, the most obvious answer. Okay. The government is kind. They can raise the FRS to $300,000, so everybody would have enough at the age of 65. But if you do this, you will make the public extremely angry because some people feel that they don't have access to their money at the age of 55. All right, so please have some sympathy for the policymakers, and don't shoot the messenger. All right, the beauty is that Haven has done a lot to illuminate some of the issues that we have. So please don't shoot the messenger. All right, I'm coming from a position of logic and not complaining. Okay. All right, so that's the most obvious solution. So if you have about $300,000 in your CPF special account today, in your 50s, like me, then more or less we would have met that solution. Okay, and we don't really have to worry so much about what happens to our lives after the age 65. Okay, I'm going to share with everybody a less obvious solution that I've learned from the CPF handbook. And one less obvious solution is, instead of collecting your CPF Life payouts, I volunteer to defer them. That means I don't start collecting my money at 65. I can defer my payouts up to the age of 70. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to delay gratification when you're already very old? Okay. The reason, and this is something which I only found on the handbook, is that for every year of deferment, your monthly payouts increase by 7%, higher than the rate of inflation. Okay. Now, it's not government giving you bonus money for delaying your gratification. Okay. It's the unfortunate fact that people who are in the risk pool, some will pass away early, some will pass away late. So the people who pass away early, they are giving up some of their interest that they earn in an annuity. And that money obviously flows to people who can live longer, who can defer that gratification. So 7% is a very nice number that you might want to consider. So if you defer your payouts by 5 years at full retirement sum, the present value of the monthly payouts can grow up to $1,727. All right, so I've already deducted inflation. Okay, so if you can postpone your payments until age 70, then at full retirement sum, there is enough money to cover your basic standard of living. Okay, so some people might not like it because it's like, wow, I so old already, I still have to wait so long to get hold of my money. Okay, yeah, but at least, understand that there are sort of two solutions. All right, or you can combine, right? You can have more than your full retirement sum, and then at the same time, you defer by maybe 1 or 2 years. All right, there are all these middle ground, right? This is a spectrum. Okay, now I think that there is a very intelligent and very smart tactical way to play this game, but you need to combine this with the supplementary retirement scheme. All right, so you can go through another older video of mine that talks about the SRS. So what you can do is, in your 20s and 30s, you put your money into the supplementary retirement scheme to reduce the amount of taxes you pay, right? So for professionals, this is a very good scheme. Then what you do is that for your supplementary retirement scheme, you put it in a portfolio, my personal favorites, local dividend stocks, brokerage accounts. You can put your money into like DBS, into a REIT, right? And let the money just accumulate over the decades, right? So money accumulates over the decades, right? You can start to withdraw your SRS beginning at age 63 for millennial. For me, it's 62. And you can withdraw up to 40,000 every year without incurring any taxes, right? And what you can do is you can use your SRS as a temporary source of cash flow while you build up your CPF life, right? And if you're able to do this, you can get your money out quite early, right? You get your money out earlier at the age of 63, okay? And what would happen is that you will deplete your SRS. At age 70, CPF Life would take over these payouts, all right? Yeah, but in order to make your SRS last 17 years, you might need $150,000 to $200,000 in your SRS. But the beauty is that there are tax benefits contributing to it, and you can buy local dividend counters, right? So it's something that I love teaching to my students, and combined together, it works very, very well. Okay, you have a little bit of floor guarantees with your monthly payouts, but you also have equities producing rental payouts for you that might actually go up based on inflation, you know, and you always win because you're sort of using a tax, a sort of like a tax deduction, a tax deductible scheme, right? So combined together, this is a very, very powerful technique to ensure that after age 63, you are conventionally retired. You don't have to do anything else with your life, right? Okay, so if you do this, this is how visually your retirement support can look like from age 63 to 70. Maybe a tax-free withdrawal of $24,000 every year from your SRS, right? But you need to have enough, right? You need to set aside that, and you have to prepare when you're younger, right? Start planning in your 20s so that by 63, you know, you'll be able to have a nice $200,000 war chest, right? For you to do that. And then you have the power to defer your CPF life and take advantage, right? Take advantage of that 7% increase in monthly payouts later on. Okay. The beauty of all this is that the decision to perform the deferment, I believe, can actually occur around the age of 65. So by that amount of time, you would have a certain idea of whether you can outlast your CPF life payouts, right? The reason is by 65, if you do not have high blood pressure, you don't have diabetes or high cholesterol, the odds of you living beyond 85 years old is very, very high. So you're likely to be a winner in this game, right? But if you're like me, by age 65, I'm not even sure whether I'll be around, right? Then maybe you can't play this game. But the good thing is that you have a slight informational advantage over the underwriter or the CPF board, right? They have a table, the mortality table. They have to figure out how much to pay you from CPF Life. It depends on the circumstances at that very day, but you know your health very well and you can make a decision for yourself. Okay? All right, so this concludes. I would likely think that this is the wonkiest episode in my series on CPF. Okay, I hope you can understand what I'm talking about. If it is too abstract for you, then by all means download the CPF handbook. Right? You find that even for an expert, I suspect even for maybe an entry-level personnel who works for the CPF board, you can learn a lot from reading this manual. Okay, so if you like my content, subscribe to my channel. You can buy me a coffee here. If you want to listen to my life story and figure out how the FIRE movement works, then Google ERM intro, take the first link, come for my preview. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. All right, so with that, thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the final video that I'm launching ahead in celebration of the launch of the CPF handbook. Thank you very much.